All right, welcome to week 9, Renaissance, Baroque, and Rococo. Let's begin. Okay, let's talk about the High Renaissance first. So, the High Renaissance lasted from around 1400 to 1500 CE, and the word Renaissance is French, and it means back and then birth. Okay, so being reborn, basically. That's what it means. And although the word is French in origin, it actually happened in Italy. It was centered around Italy, in Florence, Rome, and Milan. And then it went from there. It spread up. It spread north, and then there was also a Northern European Renaissance as well. In this class, we're gonna focus on Italian Renaissance. That's what High Renaissance means, the climax of Renaissance that happened in Italy. And the Renaissance is basically the rediscovery of classical, which is Greek and Roman philosophy, literature, and art. And during this time, Italy produced the greatest writers, thinkers, scientists, engineers, and artists in history. They're still talked about and they're still researched. Okay, and coming out of the Dark Ages, right? So before the Renaissance, last week we talked about the medieval period and Gothic architecture, right? So the medieval period was also known as the Dark Ages because scientific advancement, art, philosophy, things like that were lost, and most of society was fixated on religion and wars. So we call that the Dark Ages, and now we're coming out of the Dark Ages. Okay, so very few scientific and artistic advancements were made during the medieval period, but now, as we enter the Renaissance, we're being enlightened again. It's a rebirth for humanity. All right, so in the High Renaissance, we have some notable artists. We have Leonardo da Vinci, Italian, Donatello, Italian, Titian, Italian, Botticelli, Italian, Raphael, Italian, and Michelangelo, Italian. So these are the masters, and as you may notice, Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo are the 4 Ninja Turtles. So that's how you can remember the masters of the Renaissance. All right, so let's talk about Leonardo da Vinci. So Leonardo da Vinci is a prime example of a Renaissance man. He did a lot of things. He was an artist. He was an engineer. He was a scientist. He studied the human anatomy. He did a lot of things. He was an inventor. And he was extremely good at a lot of things. Painting, that's his painting, that's his drawing. He studied the human body. This is a page from his sketchbook, and this is called The Vitruvian Man, and it shows the harmony and the balance that happens in the human body. The human body is symmetrical, and there's a lot of balance going on. The legs, the length of the legs and the arms, and how we fit into a square and inside a circle. This is a self-portrait of himself, and this is a portrait of a musician that was alive when Da Vinci was alive. He drew a lot of portraits. And as you may know, this is the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is a very mysterious painting because of her facial expression. She also doesn't have any eyebrows. I don't know why, but it's a very mysterious painting. What is she looking at? Why is she smiling? And the techniques used in this painting, it's called sfumato. Okay, the softened lighting, the blending that's going on is called sfumato, and it's very technically accomplished. It's a good painting. It is a very small painting too. It's not that big. When we see art on these lecture presentation slides, you can't really tell how big they are, so that's a little unfortunate. But this is a very small painting. You can kind of tell by the brush strokes and the texture of the canvas that happens here. It's actually a very small painting. This, on the other hand, is a gigantic painting. In fact, this is not really a painting on canvas. This is a fresco. So it was painted on a wall, on plaster. And see this? This is a door. This is how big the painting is. This is a door, and this is the wall. So this is a gigantic painting. And this is the Last Supper. And this is Jesus right here. And here are his 12 followers. And I don't know if you're aware of the story of Jesus, but he eventually becomes, he gets betrayed, right? One of them is a traitor. Can you guess who it is? Who's the traitor in this painting? There are some clues, but one person stands out among the 12. So you can see the faces of all of them, except this person. This person is looking away. We cannot see his face, and he has his elbow down on the supper table. So this is Judas. Judas betrayed Jesus and ratted him out, basically, and that got Jesus crucified. Da Vinci was also an accomplished, not a doctor, but he was an anatomical scholar. He studied the human body. So in the medieval period, there weren't a lot of advancements in medicine because dissecting people was looked down upon, and Da Vinci kind of changed this. He challenged the rules of the church. In the Renaissance period, there was a lot of conflict between the Catholic Church and the people. This is a little bit of background information, but the Catholic Church basically got exposed for corruption, and people started leaving the Catholic Church, and there were some political issues, and the general population was becoming more and more distant from the church. And this is also around the time when the Protestant church was formed, and the Protestant church was basically a reaction to all the corruption and power in the Catholic Church. So around this time, some people started to get into anatomical studies, and Da Vinci was one of them. And he would dissect people who were dead and study them. And that's how we get medical advancement. We have 21st century medical technologies and knowledge because of people like Da Vinci, who would go out of their way to dissect people and to study them. So here's a baby inside a womb. This is a lungs and diaphragm and the stomach. This is the I think it's the trachea, right? Trachea, esophagus, and the spinal cord right here, or I mean the vertebrae. And you see the musculature of people. He studied people intensely. All right, next up is Raphael. Raphael was a very accomplished painter. And just like the other masters, he was employed and commissioned by the government, which is the Catholic Church, basically. And he painted a lot of memorable paintings. Okay, so this one is called La Belle Jardinière. This is his self-portrait. And then this piece is called The Triumph of Galatea. He drew scenes from the Bible, and he also drew scenes from Greek or Roman mythology. This one is from mythology. This is not really from the Bible, but it is it's a religious painting. These are presumably angels or cherubs. You can see the halo over their head. And this is an unknown person. I'm guessing this is Jardinière, La Belle, the beautiful Jardinière. Okay, so this is her, and this is his self-portrait. Okay, so this piece is called The School of Athens, and you will see this on the final exam. This is a very studied piece, and can you guess what is happening in this piece? You see a bunch of people. Who are these people? They're not random people. They are very specific people. They all have names. These people are all the famous scholars, mathematicians, engineers, philosophers, artists who lived throughout history. And this is a painting of heaven. You can see the sky here. This is a structure in heaven, and all these people, they died a long time ago, and Raphael painted them all in one hall, and they're all discussing philosophy, math, science, whatever. They're all discussing the good stuff, humanities. Even after their death, they're all together discussing the great questions of life. This is a fresco. So you can see the door here. This entire wall is painted, meaning this arch you see here, this arch is not here. It's actually a painting. This is a painting of an arch. And these are paintings of sculptures. They're not actual sculptures. So he actually painted, they're not carved. These are all painted. All of this is painted. Okay, so all of this, it gives you an illusion that you're actually looking into a scene, into this hall, but this is actually painted. All right, next up is Michelangelo. And you may recognize this particular view. This is inside the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel is located in the Vatican City, and for a very long time it's been the main gathering place where mass took place in Vatican City. So I don't think they do it anymore. They now use a different cathedral that has the piece, the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa in it. But this cathedral was this chapel was used for a long time. It's a chapel, not a cathedral, so it's part of a larger building. This is just a small section of it, a relatively small section. So we have the ceiling, and we have the end wall, which is, this part is called the Last Judgment, and this is basically a scene where Jesus resurrects people and also punishes some others. It's a big scene of basically Armageddon, or the apocalypse, the rapture. And as for the Sistine Chapel ceiling, they're sectioned. There's a lot of sections, and each section depicts different scenes from the Bible. So this is the entire view, the entire length of the the ceiling. Okay, so there's maybe 30, maybe 40 different scenes in here. And here's creation of Adam. Very recognizable, very iconic. All right, so this piece is called Pietà. This is also by Michelangelo. This is a marble sculpture. What is the first thing you notice about this sculpture? There's something very odd about this sculpture. So this is Jesus and this is Mary. Do you notice how Mary is really, really big? She has Jesus lying on her lap, right? Jesus is really small. He's like a little kid, and Mary is like gigantic. This is a forced perspective. It's a forced composition. So Michelangelo and other masters, they employed a lot of compositional tricks. In this piece, it's the triangle. So this has a composition, a general shape of a triangle, and to make everything fit inside a triangle, he shrunk Jesus, and then he enlarged Mary. So Jesus is not a kid in this sculpture. He's fully grown. This is after his crucifixion. You can see like the wound on his hands and his feet, but he's lifeless, and Mary has him in her lap.